Hello, everybody. It is Jimmy King with WrestleLaunch here, and it is time for the AEW Double or Nothing 2026 review. I'm going to be honest with you. I had some side jobs that I took care of on Sunday, so I unfortunately missed the buy-in. But I do have notes over here that were provided to me by a very good friend of mine because they were able to catch it. So I at least have this. We had a 5-minute tag team eliminator match for the Divine Dominion at Double or Nothing, the pre-show, whatever you want to call it, that was actually hosted with help of Mick Foley. And of course, he got interrupted by MJF, but we don't need to talk about that right now. We also had a Death Riders and Ops team face-off, the trios match. It was Claudio Castagnoli, Daniel Garcia, and Wheeler Yuta against Anthony Bowens Hook and Katsuyori Shibata, who, like I said, the Death Riders, they got the win with that. Doom and Boom, or Boom and Doom, as they were called, is a 10-man tag team match. They teamed up with the conglomeration, which was Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Roddy Strong, with the help of Big Justice, Harley Cameron, and the Rizzler, a little whatever kid. They defeated Shane Taylor Promotions, which of course was Shane Taylor, Anthony Ogogo, Captain Sean Dean, and Carly Bravo with Lee Moriarty. We then seen the first match of the pay-per-view go off, and it was Christian Cage and Adam Copeland versus FTR in a no disqualification street fight, I quit match, whatever the fuck you want to call it, for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. And this match did not disappoint in any way, shape, or form. There was a few times there where, in the classic wrestling fashion, they stuff a microphone in somebody's face. Christian, being Christian, says instead of I quit, he said that he banged somebody's mother. There was a lot that ended up happening. Beth Phoenix comes out. I don't know if she's actually going as Phoenix now, so she's probably Beth Copeland, but she ends up coming out to assist in a moment where Stokely Hathaway got involved and lit a fucking table on fire. And instead, of course, Beth going into it, she was able to get somebody else into that. Stokely managing to go through that himself. There was a lot that happened. Spike got involved in this as well, but ultimately Cage and Cope do end up winning the World Tag Team Championships, and they will be able to continue going on as a tag team for however long they decide to, because they are both up in the ages, but at the very least they are on their last tag team run in their life as the champions. Good to see it. Honestly, it's fun to see how they went. We then see Konosuke Takeshita go up against Kazuchika Okada. Holy wow. I'm not going to lie. This match delivered as well. I was really excited for this one, and these two went off. There was so much that happened in this match. I'm not going to be able to cover it. I am just going to say, please go watch it, because this is a masterclass of professional wrestling that you are going to only find in AEW, because these two honed their craft not only in Japan, but also in Mexico, and then in America as well when they came to AEW, and it's just wow. After the match, even we see Kyle Fletcher come up, because it looks like Konosuke Takeshita, after winning the International Championship away from Okada, looks like he is a little bit at odds with the Don Callis family. And Kyle Fletcher comes in to assist, but he does not actually assist, aligning himself, of course, with the Don Callis family and turning against Takeshita and leaving Takeshita in the ring. And heap. And then we finally start our Owen Hart Cup quarterfinal match. It was Athena versus Mina Shirakawa. This one went off about as well as I expected it to. Athena ended up getting the win here, and Mina Shirakawa showing off quite a bit of athleticism that she was only able to do with Athena. But again, both of them pulling off the greatest match that you're probably going to see from them to date, at least with a few things. There was a couple of things that popped off that did not work, but at the same time, because of the professionalism that these ladies have, these wrestlers have, they were able to make the match go off pretty much without a hitch. And like I said, we see Athena get the win here, and she will go on to face, I believe it is the winner of Sky Blue and Suri. I want to say that's the side of the bracket. I'm doing that completely from memory, so I'm going to put that up here, and I'm going to leave that. I'm not even going to look. We then see Jon Moxley defend his Continental title against Kyle O'Reilly, and this one also, it was a no time limit, because typically the Continental title has a time limit for their matches. This one goes for about about it. I mean, it didn't really matter if it had a time limit, because I think it was within 20 minutes anyway. But ultimately, Kyle O'Reilly, unfortunately, is going to fall to Jon Moxley here. And there were so many moments where it looked like Kyle was about to get it. He had Moxley in the middle of that ring. But Mox's fortitude and a little bit of the crowd helped him manage to get out of that. And Kyle O'Reilly, unfortunately, succumbs to Jon Moxley and does not win the Continental Championship. We then see Will Ospreay go up against Samoa Joe in the Owen Hart Cup on the men's side for the quarterfinal, and that one also goes to Will Ospreay after showing a new version of just himself in this match. And you even see after the match Samoa Joe give a bow to Will Ospreay, who really showed off just how different he is going to be this time around, going up against an opponent somewhat similar to himself in the assassin mindset. Samoa Joe has always been that type of wrestler who he does dissect his opponents, and he's able to figure out exactly what will work and what will not work for him. Will Ospreay has now become that very much the same assassin as Samoa Joe, and now Joe even gave the customary bow to show that. So that was pretty cool to see. We then immediately go into another Owen Hart Cup match, and it's Swerve Strickland versus Bandito. And Prince Nana does get involved a little bit in this one, but not as much as most people would probably assume. He does not usually get involved that much with his stuff. I mean, he does get involved with Swerve, but ultimately Swerve is able to beat Bandito in this match. But I have got to applaud Bandito because he does this crazy low 21 plex or whatever the hell it is that he calls it, and it's just crazy to see it. He ends up hurting his back a little bit or whatever, and which is part of the whole story of the match, is just the attacks over the course of the last couple of weeks from Swerve after, I believe it was Supercard of Honor, where he attacked Bandito, and just the fact that Swerve, being as methodical as Swerve is, he does manage, like I said, to get the win here. I do believe, though, Swerve will be... Nope. Can't remember that bottom part of the bracket now off the top of my head. I don't remember who's down there. But we'll figure it out coming up because Dynamite's tonight. That's why I'm recording this now. We also then see the Fatal 4-Way that is the Women's World Championship match, and it is Tekla, Hikaru Shida, Jamie Hayter, and Chris Statlander. This one also goes off really well, and one thing I have to applaud AEW with is sometimes they do have quite a few of these 4-way title matches, but they do manage to come up with new ways to make these innovative, and they do show off a different style in different matches and different types of people when they come down to it. There's even the classic turn that we were all expecting out of Hikaru Shida at one point in time. Statlander has a pin, and Shida just nails her with a kendo stick, and because of that, there's actually going to be a street fight in Philly between Shida and Statlander tonight on Dynamite, so that's going to be fun to see as well. But ultimately, unfortunately, for the three competitors that were going up for the title, Tekla is able to retain her title in this match. We then see the most unhinged thing you're going to see, but it was ultimately so fun. The Stadium Stampede, which is Jericho, the Hurt Syndicate of Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, with the Elite of Kenny Omega, Jack Perry, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson. MVP accompanied them to the ring. We ended up seeing like montages before, so like everybody's getting ready. So like either side, everyone's getting gathered up and whatever. And I mean, unfortunately, we the Elite one comes in second, but it's funnier than the other one, so I guess it's a good thing that it played second. You see everybody kind of just like in suits and like being real dapper and whatever. And Kenny Omega smokes a cigar and he starts coughing his head off. It was great. And they are going up against the Demand, which is Ricochet, Bishop Khan, Toa Leona, and the Don Callis family of Mark Davis and Andrade El Idolo, with the Dogs, Clark Connors, and David Finlay. This match, there was so much that happened. There's so many different things that I missed because I was checking out something else because they had a bunch of things. Some of the stuff that I just immediately remember off the top of my head, you got to see just some craziness. I know that they didn't allow them to do very much throughout the match in the area and whatnot, but you did see One Winged Angel for Andrade through a table from Kenny Omega. In his split screens at one point, Andrade, when he goes to do the phone thing, you see Luchasaurus pop in with a wig. You saw that, and if you weren't paying attention, you definitely missed that. Clark Connors gets hit by somebody's like cane that I think was given to Nick Jackson. just all in all, absolute fucking calamity this match was. But at the end of the day, Jericho and his team ended up getting the win. But if you get an opportunity, I know a lot of people don't like these type of matches, and Stadium Stampede is not for everybody. But you gotta hand it to these guys and their creativity. You really do, because they did a good job. I'm gonna give them a lot of credit for this. And like I said, this is gonna be a very like extradited version of the review, because a lot of times I know I get long-winded with these things, but this was fun. I really enjoyed this match. If you get an opportunity, you really should. I'm gonna try to see if I can't link it, if I can find it. But if you get the opportunity, you really should go check it out, because like I said, it was a lot of fun. We then moved in to the main event, which was Darby Allin defending his AEW World Championship against MJF. This match also ended up being some calamity in this too. At one point in time, Darby goes through the ropes, and the thing that every single wrestler that ever does a tope suicida does, and they watch it happen, and they are afraid of happening. Darby's legs get caught. Like they hit the top rope as he goes through, and he just got just a very awkward landing. Like that was just the sickest landing I think I have ever seen. At one point in time, there's a pile driver on some steps. Darby climbs up on top of the fucking scaffolding at one point in time because he's insane, and jumps down on top of Max, who's laying on the table that they have, because it is Max's hair on the line. So there's a little table at the entryway that has a clippers on it with a chair ready for Max in case he does lose. Well, they move that clipper out of the way, put Max on the table, and Darby lands down, and he ends up cutting the back of his head because of whatever that table was on as far as the platform goes. Just, I don't understand how these guys, every time they face each other, it gets better. I don't get it. I mean, I get it, because they're absolute fucking professionals, but at the end of the day, like, they do a fantastic job here, and they really, really keep you entrapped with it, because there are a lot of near falls. There's a couple of times where I'm just like, oh my God, Darby's going to do it. But no, they end up, MJF does become a 3-time world champion under 30, or by the time he was 30, I guess he's technically 30, so it's not under 30. But yeah, I'm not going to complain. That was pretty good. That's kind of how I expected. Although I will admit, I did kind of want to see a bald MJF. I think that'd be fucking hilarious, but you know, that didn't end up happening. But that right there is your expedited AEW Double or Nothing 2026 review, because like I said, I've had to sit with this one because I've had to let a lot of this stuff marinate. So far, my brackets for the double or the Owen are secure. Unfortunately, both Sponge and Paul's brackets for the women's side have been blown up because Mina Shirakawa lost. Those are down there. But thank you guys very much for watching. My name again is Jimmy King, and if you liked this type of content, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Let us know, because at the end of the day, our opinions are not the only opinions that matter. Yours are too, because wrestling is for everyone. I'm getting out of here. Make sure you check out everything that we have. We've also got a Spotify now and a bunch of other places coming up for podcasts. So if you want to, just look up WrestleLaunch wherever you get your podcasts. And if it's not there, let us know. We'll find out a way to get there. Thank you very much. Stay safe, stay sane, stay healthy, and above all else, just love professional wrestling. You guys have a great day.